Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charles Rather, and today I wanted to share with you everything you need to know about an E-2 visa for Canadian citizens. If you're Canadian and considering maybe making a move to the US, probably the first option that you should consider, at least that's the option that the majority of our Canadian clients consider, is the E-2. Of course, there's other options that are available, especially for a green card, and I would say EB-5 is one of the most popular for that. But for the majority of our clients who are not looking to come to the US right now on a permanent basis, they just want to have easy access to get to the US, come back and forth, and work here, possibly send their kids to school and whatnot, and live here at 5-year increments with renewal every 5 years. The E-2 is probably one of the best ways to go. So why do I say that, and what should you as a Canadian need to know about the E-2 visa and whether you qualify and it might be a good option for you? First, what's required is you need to either open a business or buy an existing business. You need to invest about $100,000. It could be less, $90,000, $80,000. Certainly if it's more, that's always better. So the entry level is not that high. The one thing that you have to keep in mind is you do need to spend the majority of those funds. If you're, say, investing about $100,000, you do need to actually spend that money, at least 60% of it, prior to filing for the E-2. So it's not sufficient just to wire $100,000 to your U.S. business account and then file for the E-2. You actually have to spend the majority of those funds. You need to get everything ready for the business. So you need to get the licenses if you need it. You need to buy any equipment, inventory, rent an office if you need an office. Have everything ready just to wait for you to get the visa, come to the U.S., turn on the lights and start the operations. Or you can, of course, start operations before you come here if you hire some American personnel. But the good thing about the Canadian E-2 is it's issued for 5 years at a time. Very, very few denials. In fact, we've never had a denial for a Canadian investor. So it's very reliable, relatively fast. We can usually get you into the embassy for the interview within a month to 2 months. And like I said, it gives you almost all of the same rights as a green card holder. You and your spouse both get a social security number. The main applicant is limited to working at your business, whereas the spouse of the applicant has an employment authorization that allows him or her to work wherever they would like. Children can go to school, just like residents or green card holders. And the children actually for college or university, the children of E-2 holders are considered state domestic residents for purposes of paying tuition. So if you're living in Florida, California, you're going to send your child to University of California, University of Florida, and you've been living in that state for at least a year, you'll be treated as a U.S. citizen. And believe me, higher education in the U.S. is not cheap. So if you're able to qualify for in-state tuition, that's a huge savings. That alone, if you have several kids, or even if you just have one child, the savings you would make alone just on in-state tuition, depending on what state are in, would probably cover the amount of your initial investment or even more. So that's a very big plus. The only downside with the children is that once your child hits 21 years old, you're not able to maintain the child in the status with the parents. So once the child hits 21, they automatically lose the E-2, and they either have to find another option that will allow them to stay here, or what happens sometimes is the child becomes a co-owner of the parent's business, invests the money, and the money could be a gift from the parents, and then the child gets his or her own independent E-2 visa. So a lot of good things about E-2s and Canadians. We love it for our Canadian clients because they're happy, relatively quick, very reliable way for you to come to the U.S., start living here if you want, enjoy the warmer weather, which it usually is, and pursue whatever objectives you have here in the U.S. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you with this option or any other ones that you might be considering.